It's time for Cats Talk Wednesday. Small town and big city joined forces. Vinny Hardy of Lynch, Kentucky, and Terry Brown of Louisville, Kentucky, team up to give you free-flowing, laid-back sports talk. Focus on Kentucky Wildcats, as well as pertinent information in the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball.
After a week off, we're back. TB.
We are back.
We're back in here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, Vinny?
Man, I can't complain. We was doing stuff, and like you mentioned, we don't take many weeks off. So we was off last Wednesday, and so some stuff happened since we was on last time. So we get all caught up. The NBA Finals concluded. Your Lakers is trying to do some stuff. Tata Washington is now a member of my Houston Rockets, so we got some stuff happening.
I got to light a candle for Tata, and get the sage out for him.
Wow! Oh man, he just slipped that right in there too, boy. That was just a shot to the ribs. I see. Okay, I see. Yeah, I'm excited though. Tata, Jabari, Tari Eason, who backpicked Severe Wheeler and broke his neck. He is a member of the Rockets as well. So part of the youth movement, in addition to Jalen Green, and we'll see what happens. But I hadn't had you had Malik Monk and AD out there in LA. Chuck Hayes, Terrence Jones. The John Wall thing didn't go well, so there hadn't been a lot of UK Rocket stuff as far as former Cats on my squad. Now I'm happy to see Tata, who's going to get every chance in the world to prove himself, have a start to his career in Houston.
And don't forget Wenyen Gabriel, who just got extended by the Lakers today. So Wenyen is kind of flown under the radar, but he played really well last year. Basically, I would say that Gabriel and Monk probably the high points of the season as far as unexpected players go. So with three former Cats, on last year's team and maybe moving forward, depending on how it shakes out with Malik Monk, hey, LA baby.
Now, so you seem to agree with King Josiah. Nobody's really wanting to do business with your Lakers. Nobody's wanting to make any trades with the Lakers right now. Is that what I'm picking up on?
And I get it. I mean, the history of the Lakers and the moves that they've made going back to Minneapolis, I get it. I forget the exact ramifications, but think about this. You got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on your team. You get a coin flip to get Magic Johnson to draft him, and then 3 years later you draft James Worthy, because of trades and dealings and all that kind of stuff. And of course, signing Shaq, trading for Kobe, trading for Pau Gasol. So even trading Shaq away, you get a piece in Lamar Odom, who is a centerpiece for two more titles. So I get it. Nobody wants to trade with the Lakers because it generally works out in the Lakers' favor. So I get it. I'm not mad at it. I get it.
And that's with shaky ownership GM stuff since Dr. Buzz passed, right? I mean, it's
honestly, you would say that the Lakers, the ownership has never been the best. Even Dr. Buzz. I know it was dramatized in winning time. Obviously, he wanted to win, but it wasn't a well-run organization, not like the Spurs or anything like that. It was basically leveraging being in LA, and being kind of exorbitant, but it wasn't because they were shrewd business people. If you look outside of maybe seeing something in Kobe that the Hornets didn't see, other teams didn't see, but giving Shaq a ton of money after 4 years in Orlando, I mean, that doesn't take a genius to see, right? Whatever the deals were to get the coin flip, how you get Magic, and then you get Worthy. Not to say that there wasn't some front office guruship, but the biggest thing for the Lakers has been, hey, we're in LA. right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's about how to get egos to play together. And that's been the biggest benefit to the Lakers. Longtime listeners know, as I always say, basically, we'll get two of the best guys in the league and we'll figure it out. And that's generally how it's been. But if your third man is James Worthy, that's how you win 5 titles and not, that's how you get it done. But I understand teams don't want to do it. Teams don't like dealing with the Yankees and that kind of thing. So I'm okay with it, but I'm sure they'll figure it out.
So the Bucks started all this by trading Kareem to the Lakers, and here we go. They did draft Worthy, right? So you gotta give them credit for that. They drafted him straight up.
Drafted Worthy, drafted Magic, but you have to go back and you have to thank Philadelphia for trading Wilt.
Yeah.
And for that 72 team that won 33 straight games and won the championship. So it goes back to that. And and I forget, like, the Bucks got decent players back, but it's Kareem, right? The Philadelphia, I think they were still the Warriors at the time. They got decent players back, but it's Wilt.
Mm-hmm.
Just like New Orleans got decent players back, but it's AD. And I'm not putting AD quite on. I'm not saying AD is quite on that Wilt Kareem level, but he did win a championship. So I can't be mad at it.
Yeah.
And I am happy for Ty. He fell I guess a little bit farther than a lot of people thought. But I think the Rockets are in a pretty good situation. They crapped out and hit the bottom floor, and now it's a straight rebuild. So he's going to get run.
Yep.
I think the key, if you're going to do that, if you're just going to bottom out and then rebuild, do you trust the front office? Do you have a system in place to get these young kids where you want them to go? Mm-hmm. And I think, on the outside looking in, I think your Rockets do. It's not like Sacramento where it's like every year we're doing this.
Perpetual, I don't know. I mean, just mediocrity is too kind. Perpetual ineptitude, I think. Over and over. Bless Rick Allen, because he's the one that pulled him out of the sludge pond for a couple years.
Yeah.
They went right back to it right after he left. He did the same thing in Portland. He had Houston playing good. That dude probably should get more credit. He never won a title. Took Portland to 2 finals.
Yeah.
Got Jordan and Zeke. So, I mean, but that dude had a pretty good run as head coach.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too, is you bring in young guys. If you're going to go young, it's very important who's coaching, what's the culture like. Because, again, we've seen teams like the Clippers forever and ever, like the Kings, where they're always in the lottery. But what do you get? Looking at the Magic, they drafted Paolo Banchero from Duke, their 4th number 1 overall pick, and it's good because they got good players. But what do you have to show for it? Yeah, you got Shaq for 4 seasons and a finals appearance. You got Dwight and a finals appearance. So we'll see how it goes. I think that the Rockets are in a pretty good position because I don't understand these teams that are always in the lottery. If I was one of my teams, I would have given up on it a long time ago. It's not championship or bust, but it is definitely like I can't be living like this.
Right. I can see that for sure. We are coming to y'all courtesy of Anchor and Spreaker and Spotify and wherever you listen to podcasts on the audio side. On the visual side, this will be up on YouTube, but we come to you first and foremost on the BS3 network, Roku TV, Roku devices. Ben Sutter, the homie, reached out to us. We're proud to be part of a whole big bunch of podcasts on the BS3 Network family, and we can be seen on demand on BS3. I spoke incorrectly because 2 weeks ago we had Mitch Brown on from Fox 56. Thought that was the first cuz that we had on the show. Because we got a cuz right now that's on in the green room. He's backstage. So Big Blue Drew. Drew Brown is backstage. We had Big Blue Drew on back in 2019. I just looked it up, like November 2019. So he was the first Brown on here. So all apologies to Big Blue Drew as we bring him in right here and right now. He does the Kentucky Dad Pod. He does his thing on A Sea of Blue. Photographer extraordinaire. About to be a dad again. We're going to talk about all of that with this dude right here. Big Blue Drew, man. What's up?
Hello, what's up, dudes? Thanks for having me. I've really been shutting a lot down preparing for the Twins, but when y'all asked, man, I had to come on because it's always fun to catch up with you guys, so I appreciate it.
And set aside time for us. Appreciate it, man. And he quote tweeted our tweet about the show, TB, and this lets us know how up in it you are. You said, unless my guys from Cast Talk Wednesday want to talk baby furniture synergy, 529 plans, or crippling fear, then I'm not sure I have much for them tonight, but tune in anyway. So you've been out of the loop as far as sports and all that, which is not much anyway, but you are getting ready for the new arrivals, getting the house ready, getting the college money ready. You're getting all that situated.
Hope so. Man, I'm telling you, it's if I'm not doing something, I'm feeling guilty for not having something to do. But I wish I was a little more naive going into this. So if you don't know, I have a 14-year-old daughter that I had when I was 19, a Tasmanian devil 3-year-old son. That's the stereotypical boy. And surprise, we got a couple twin boys on the way. So I'm gonna have 3 boys under 4. And the next 2 years terrify me, kind of like almost like a coaching change. Like the next 2 years is going to be rough, man. But long term, I see the future, and I'm excited to have my whole squad.
You gotta put it in sports context. I understand that
for sure.
I think you sell yourself short though, because look, everybody, if y'all don't know Drew, like he said, he does thing on Sea of Blue, the Kentucky Dad Pod. He's had TB on there a couple times, had me on there. You talk about this fear, and I'm like, dude, Drew, you really shouldn't be that scared, because I think I'd have been more scared at having a child at 19 than having twins now. So I'm like, you've been through a lot and done a lot, so I don't think you should be as scared with these twins coming as you say you are on the podcast.
Man, I appreciate your sentiment, man, but I'm on the total opposite spectrum. When I was 19, it was all great to me, and I'm sure this will be too. But again, I personally know my struggles with the newborn babies, and my saying over the last few months has been to my wife that she get them from babies to boys, and I get them from boys to men, because it's going to be tough on the newborn side with twins. But I'm excited. I feel blessed. We're going to get some time off work, which is kind of cool. Same thing happened in 2019. I was able to actually do a little bit more as far as traveling. With a lot of family, I'm sure we'll have in town visiting and planning around that. So I'm hyped for that. Get into the fall, cover some football, cover some basketball, and shout out to TB too, because I'm telling you he can definitely attest to the crippling fear thing is real. And I've reached out to him on occasion and when I needed a little pat on the back, because I'm a little more settled in now, but man, it's a lot to take in. I turned 35 last week, so tons going on.
Well, the thing about parenting is, as soon as you think you know something and you get it figured out, they move to the next stage. Mm-hmm. As soon as you figure out, I know how to wrap this baby, I got this down, now they're toddling along. You're like, okay. Then once you get the house baby proof, you do all that, now they've moved on to the next step. I mean, I've got a 16-year-old now going into her junior year at high school.
I see sports.
Oh yeah. She's we're field hockey and lacrosse, and now colleges have reached out. So now I'm doing this kind of thing. So as soon as you figure it out, man, there's something else. They've moved on to the next step on you.
Yeah, that's one thing I guess actually that makes me feel better is I give that advice a lot on the pod and to other parents, is that man, whatever stage you're in, biting, screaming, scratching, not sleeping, sleeping too much, don't don't over stress it, because in 3 months you'll be chasing down another problem. So,
Yeah.
amen.
I said that on when you had me on Kentucky Dad Pod. I said it seems like it's never gonna end. Say it's getting them to go to sleep at night and they're trying to get them on schedule, and you're a zombie and all that. It seems like it's never gonna end. Then it's the potty training, it's the teething. When you get through it and you look back, like we all kind of saying the same thing, even on different sides of it. It's just a few months, and okay, now they are sleeping. Okay, and now we just got to get these teeth filled up, and then soothed up.
Yeah, right.
And now we got to get the potty training. So it seems like, oh my God, is this kid going to sleep? And I can imagine how that's going. I can't imagine how that's going to be with twins getting two to try to sleep at the same time. I can't speak to that, but it is just going to be a little phase, a little storm. We all driven through storms on the way home from vacation, and you can't see for a minute, and the interstate's crowded, and people are going slow. Motorcycles are pulled over, and then you get through it, and it's sun again. So,
Yeah, amen. I'll say this too. I visited my grandfather, went into a nursing home like last year or so, and I'll tell you what, boy, you visit one of those places and you'll hope you have 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 kids, hope as many people can pop in there and see you when you're older. So I'm looking at that way too. Lots of people to take care of me, but always a good topic when we're talking about this is names, because we're still up in names. So I keep suggesting we got like Nerlens and Goose, Dale and Brennan from Step Brothers, Andrew and Aaron. That's heavily suggested with the Big Blue Nation. So names has been fun. I've been enjoying, even though it's very difficult agreeing with the wife, but never thought I would have to name 2 more kids.
Naming is different. Is difficult. It's you got to look at initials. You got to play out.
Together,
yeah. How's it going to work on the playground? And with the last name like Brown, you're like, okay, you can't do Charlie, right?
Right.
You can't do Bobby. That's going to be a thing.
Yeah, there's lots you can't do. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was James, but he was James before, James Brown was sick. But so you got to think about all that kind of stuff. So
it's tough.
It's not naming a dog where you can just decide to change it if you don't like it. This is going to be this kid's name forever. So I understand.
I'm not big into huge risks. So that's for sure. Again, we gotta lock it in, because it could be any day now. But we'll figure it out when we have to.
So was your little boy is Calvin, right?
Calvin, yep. And then his middle name is my wife's maiden name, which is Dwyer. So he's Calvin Dwyer Brown. So he's got kind of a unique name. But we'll see what we do with these. We got kind of meshed 3 boys' names together. And I swear I said this 100 times, but I truthfully mean this. Every time we discuss names, I have to think it through in the context of me screaming it through the house. Like, let's go, blank, blank. Like, I don't know why it is, but that's just how I envision it, is yelling at everyone to get ready. And does that sound good or does that sound weird?
So it's born in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the last time we had you on. And now we got you on now, and you're about to have twins. So the past 2 times you come on, you're expecting. So the next time you come on, you won't be.
We're cutting. We're tying tubes, cutting, taking all this stuff, man. Whatever's on the market, we're taking it.
That's a wrap.
Yeah.
Like Vince Carter, it's over.
Amen.
Man, tell everybody that doesn't know, because I listen to the Dad Pod religiously. Tell everybody how it started, the idea for it, kind of the concept of it, because it's just a great idea, man. And I'd say that even we hadn't been on there.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's easy. I mean, especially even just getting to know you guys. It's the same. Like, we're doing it now. We're having a dad podcast now. Like, every time we get, you get together, whether we've had the pleasure of being with each other on some cool spots for sure around the country and Lexington for sure. So, what else are you going to talk about? Kentucky basketball or football, and then your kids. So we've done a lot of that over Subway up at the Kroger's field. And, I was like, why not get it on the podcast? And you guys probably know better than anyone. I wish I could do a lot more, but the scheduling, intertwining schedules with others can be difficult. So I'm not sure how it's going to work in the next few weeks once the babies come, if I'll be doing more or less of them. But, yeah, I think that and one of my favorite things about the Dad podcast is I feel like that the guest really leaves feeling good and inspired and motivated, and because not everybody gets a chance to tell their story. They're always telling other people's story. Like a Kyle Tucker, for example, TJ Beisner. A lot of people that we see promoting others. I think that they deserve that platform. So it's been cool, and it's easy for me. I just log in and ask what's up, and it goes from there. There's no statistics or much analysis, and it's just real talk.
Well, and it's great because in most of the time we hear about what dads aren't doing, right? It's always, my dad was gone out of the picture. We don't support the dads that are putting that work in. Mm-hmm. And I've always thought that there's more dads doing the right thing that are doing the wrong thing. Because I look around and like you said, Drew, I see you doing your thing. I see Vinny, and I'm like, all the dads I know are putting this work in. I'm trying to put it in long distance myself. So it's an outlet where you can see people, dads, that are doing the work, that are, I guess I'm rambling a little bit here, but I appreciate it because it's a good space for dads. And you realize, number one, you're not alone, right? Like everybody's got these struggles being a dad, especially, if you had a dad that was kind of bigger than life, sure. Trying to follow that guy is always difficult. And so it's a safe space for dads is what I'm saying. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think too, we've talked, I feel like I'm on the dad pod now. I wish I need to do a better job about sharing my own stuff because I actually don't do a lot of that. That might be how I kind of cope is by picking other people's brains. I don't share. And I have a wild, background story to how I ended up back in Kentucky, et cetera. But yeah, I think that that's something that everybody can appreciate. And I have a ton of shortcomings. Like, sometimes I feel guilty getting off of the podcast because, like you all say, oh, Drew's a great dad. He does a dad podcast. But I have tons of shortcomings, man. I learn every time we do it. And I come up short tons of times. So I think it's good to acknowledge that. And, everybody is going through a lot of the same stuff for sure.
And here's the secret. We all come up short. Like we all have those moments where you're like, I could have done better. I could have done this. That's part of the game. That's the one thing my dad taught me is like, hey, sometimes it just happens, man. You have a long day at work, you come home, the kid says something, and you snap. Like, that's just being human. That's just what it is. So,
and lastly, too, I'll say tying it into Kentucky sports, I've mentioned a few times. Imagine being some of these kids. All we think about is can they shoot, dunk, dribble, are they fast? But you leave your dad on, your parents, mom especially from Texas, and all these pipelines that we love to come to Lexington. We can't ever understand why a star basketball player wouldn't like the idea of Lexington to stay home. And I always think about those 12 or 13 guys and 100 guys that are on the football and basketball teams. I couldn't. That's exactly what I did. I had the opportunity to go kind of a little farther out, and staying home was a lot easier. So I went to Spalding, and so I'm sure that's the dynamic I think we miss a lot in college sports is the kids are just that. They're just kids.
Mm-hmm. I got homesick going to Kentucky, and I'm from Louisville, right. and that's 70 miles, and I got homesick. Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine if you're from Chicago or Texas or California,
and used to being the man, wherever you're at, and no time to acclimate. As a matter of fact, that's probably the least time you have is the minute you get there, you're on stage, and I've always thought that too, correlating it back to basketball, is that. Like Scal, I used to say that about Scal a lot. I feel like if a guy came out and had a very strong first 10 games, showed that they could shoot the ball, like literal entire seasons and careers could have been different because you're just so much on that stage as soon as you get here. And if you struggle at first, man, it can really eat you up. You've seen it with like Ryan Harrow and particular players. So yeah, you're right.
It starts bad. It's hard to turn it around sometimes. Sure is. We didn't have a show last Wednesday, so I'm not trying to bring it all down, but, BBN lost a legend that we all maybe crossed paths with, and we've heard the tributes with Mike Pratt. A lot of people talking about him. He was kind enough to come on here way back.
Oh, nice.
One of the early guests that we had, TB, when we first started.
That 2014-15 season, he came on the Wednesday after the Kansas game that year.
Wow.
And, was like one of our first real big guests. He was nothing short of amazing to two dudes that he just, contacted him out of the blue. So yeah,
Wow.
that was ridiculous. Told a great Coach Rupp story. Like Mike Pratt was
I bet he
great.
did.
He was just great.
Yeah, I feel fortunate to. I've had several run-ins with him. We weren't, I wouldn't, close friends or anything, but definitely being down there in Rupp Arena and stuff a lot. And then Philip Baker, who does a lot of work at ESPN 680, 93.9 The Ville. He's a good friend of mine, and they were close. He actually does his radio show a lot now, filling in. So, and I know, and I've, never kind of mentioned anything like this, but just respectfully, I definitely have seen and remember at the SEC tournament and overheard a few things where I know he was really fighting through some pain and stuff to be there. And I remember thinking in the moment, there's nowhere else this guy wants to be other than, I believe that was in Tampa. And I was, just so unfortunate how fast it all happened. And every time, the same story you guys, told the lead in, and everyone has that same story about him just being gracious and genuine. And so, yeah, I was very, very sad. I know that he was really close to a lot of people in the Kentucky media, obviously doing his radio show here in Louisville. And then, obviously at Rupp every night. So he'll be missed this year and beyond.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, I think ESPN 680, which you guys are both doing your thing there at on those airwaves, and the montage they had, which he did the show with Dan Issel from 10 to 12, and it was Al Green, like they're coming back from commercial, and Dan Issel was just singing some Al Green at the top of his lungs, which was hilarious because he couldn't really carry tune, but he didn't care. And it was like, let's stay together, or still, it was some classic Al Green, and Dan Issel in there singing. So it was, and of course he was, he had a moving tribute. Tom Leach, all those guys got emotional talking about him. They spent so much time with him. Tom said, outside my wife, I was with Mike Pratt more than anybody, during the season, traveling, shoot-arounds, going to games, going to practice. So yeah. Definitely had to talk about Mike since we hadn't been on.
Yeah, and if we're gonna talk about him too, we got to end it on saying, but he could hoop. The man was a hooper too. Like he can get lost in translation. I think just how good he was. So I was actually really talking to myself there because I learned a lot about just how good he was. Over the last week or so, and hearing about some of his big games. I know he had that 40-point game against Louisville, and some of the professional games he had, and just. Always, that was a word that he was associated with too. Was just a true professional in every aspect.
And he was undersized too. I mean, you're 6'5". We've seen how tall you are up in person. He was 6'3", 6'4", playing power forward, out of position, still scored 1,400 points in UK, 700 rebounds to put up the numbers that he did, really being undersized. And he was a big strapping dude. Even, we're seeing him in his late 60s, and you can tell he's one of those dudes that you say, oh, back in his day, you could tell he was, he still had that kind of walk, the way he carried himself. You could still tell. This dude in his prime was probably something else. But in the basketball standpoint, he was undersized and playing out of position, and to still do what he did is remarkable.
Yeah, I heard the story of this week about, back in the day, freshmen couldn't play, varsity or whatever, however you want to word it. So they were talking about, Mike's freshman team just, I don't know if you could say the A word, but busting A at practice and taking it to that varsity. And I remember Dan Issel said that, he definitely felt confident saying they walked away winning as many as they lost, which, back then was pretty unheard of for freshman guys. So they were legit from the beginning.
And he came on with us, TB, that time. And, the way Adolph Rupp is revered, he's telling stories, and he's just like, well, Adolph wasn't really happy. He's just throwing around the first name, calling him Adolph. We're like, oh, he's just calling him by his first name. It's like, yeah, Adolph didn't like us going behind the back and practice and doing all that kind of Pistol Pete stuff, but Adolph that.
we don't do that here. I remember him saying that.
Yeah. So good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, we ain't gonna talk a lot of sports with you because, like you said, you've been out of the loop. Ain't much happened anyway. But didn't want to keep you too long because you got a lot going on. Appreciate everything. Kids coming, though. Just like I said, next time you come, you won't be expecting. So you got that to look forward to, man.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll be in good shape. But yeah, I'm excited about basketball. I'm excited about football. I think we're gonna have some good teams on the field. maybe not the roster might not blow you away basketball wise. We'll just have to see how these guys look, and we're lucky because we will get to see play a little bit in August and see how they look and what's going on with that, which is a rare opportunity. So I was just kind of remember that today. I'm excited about that.
I'm cool with the roster. I'm not one that has to be just like blown away, or you keep hearing they need another shooter. They're going to contend. If everybody's healthy, I think it's going to click. The freshmen are, you got you some top tier freshmen thrown in the mix. Player of the year is coming back. Damian Collins is working his way towards 215 pounds, which is going to be a lot of weight and muscle for him. He won't get pushed around as much. Come in, block some shots. Toppin's trending the right direction. Sniper in CJ Frederick. Reeves.
Oh, he anointed him the sniper. No, I'm with you too. It doesn't. I just, I guess for your stereotypical, let's get hyped this offseason Calipari roster, loaded with 5-star point guards and things of that nature. So I'm with you, man. We ain't got no chips in a long time, so we can try it however it's done. And I will say that, like we were kind of been saying too, the transfer portal just changes the game, especially when you cover recruiting a little bit. So I've kind of disconnected from a lot of that, and I'm glad the roster's set. I think it's good. A lot will come down to is Cason Wallace a superstar, or is he, a really good player? And maybe say the same for like is a Chris Livingston going to be a little bit better than we thought, or maybe struggle a little bit more? And that sounds simple, but I think that's about as, consistent answer as you can give for Calipari teams from season to season. If you want to use like BJ Boston as an example, we thought, what we were getting there and what we actually got and how that season ended up. And then, there's been players that have just came in and kind of acclimated from the beginning. So I like the roster too. I'm excited to see like guys like Antonio Reeves, see how their game translates. I think in the transfer portal world, it could not be a better thing to have these summer, tune-up games to kind of figure out and whatever. If they, they get their butt whipped, maybe lock in a little more to what the coaches are doing scheme-wise. But stupid, they can't do this every year. I don't know. We should just be able to go scrimmage Louisville up at a park right now and, all the money goes to charity. I don't understand why.
Up at the blue courts, baby.
Every year. Yeah. No more blue courts. Right? I don't know. I wasn't a Lexington guy.
Oh, the blue courts outside Seton is where they used to put work in during the summertime. That was back in my day. Back in my day, a quarter century ago, as I extremely date myself.
What park in Louisville? You said a park in Louisville. So what y'all pick? Y'all both Louisville guys.
Oh man, I played it. I was a Seneca Park. I played at all the parks though, Vinny. All the parks I've played at, but I was a Seneca Park, mostly player outdoors wise.
You too, TV.
I played a little bit at Seneca Park, a little bit at Shawnee Park. Gets a little rough down there. That's the Rucker Park kind of thing. No blood, no foul. You can't call no fouls, man. It's a different type of game. So there,
I can't call a foul at Shawnee Park, TB.
Yeah.
I played there a time or two, but I can't call no foul there. That's for sure. And I say now, man, kids don't hoop outside. They got shooting machines and $40 an hour trainers. Trust me on that. And if it ain't Instagram and counting the shots, I shouldn't say that for everybody, but honestly, man, that makes me sad because you used to be able to ride around Louisville when I moved back, because I moved away from Kentucky when I was about 18, I guess. And when I moved back when I was like 28, and just, a weeknight, Monday through Thursday, used to be able to ride around and, you'd have to wait to play basketball at most of the outdoor courts. And now there might be some old guys like us up there getting hurt, and then just some guys that don't know what they're doing, basically. So that's sad.
It has changed. It absolutely has changed. So I agree with that.
But I gotta preface that by saying kids are real good nowadays, though. So it does work, because I go sometimes I haven't watched a lot of boys play live with my daughter. I go to a ton of female sporting events, which is they blow me away as well. But when I get a chance to go to some of the boys, like I was here for EYBL, watch DJ a little bit and stuff, and the 12th guy on these teams sometimes just windmill and 360 and. Back in the day, if you had a couple guys on your team that would poke one through in warm-ups, you're probably pretty good. And now these kids are just super powered.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
How dramatic that's been just in a few 10, 15, 20 years. That's crazy. Sure is. Well, man, Drew ain't going to keep you, man. We appreciate you hopping on. Wish you all the best with the twins coming. You give a lot of love to your wife, so our thoughts with her. You're always talking about how much of a warrior she is on the podcast, so Got Calvin about to be a big brother and Lily. So hope everybody's cool when the new arrivals get here. And it all goes as smoothly as possible, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate that so much. That was very heartfelt. And absolutely, I know y'all my guys. And y'all are on the hook now, too. I got to get we'll get a Kentucky Dad podcast in sometime this summer or the fall leading into football season.
That sounds good to me. I don't mind opining about dad stuff.
I'm sure.
I've been dad life for life, baby.
Oh, hold on. Okay. All right. I'll end it with a dad joke because I think I've been saving some for my next episode. Let's see if I can find one. All right. Here's my first one I found. Oh, is my battery dying? All right. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. It says, what's the difference between a bad joke and a dad joke? Just the first letter. All right. I'm out.
All right. We've had more Browns on this show than have played basketball for Kentucky. So always good to have Drew on. That's
right. And so now we've had Drew, Mitch, and Terry, and only Dale for UK. So
only Brown. It doesn't sound possible, but yet here we are.
And we thought, I don't know, a couple of years ago, we don't cover recruiting, but we kind of started peeping at it a little bit because there was a possibility that Greg Brown was going to come to Kentucky. I think he ended up going to Texas for a year. There was a thought that Jaden Hardy was going to come to Kentucky, and there was a chance that we're going to have a Brown and Hardy on the roster at the same time. Would have been the second Brown in UK history, would have been the first Hardy in UK history. Jaden chose the G League route, and we saw him kind of sit there, not getting drafted where he probably thought he was going to go. So if he had went to Kentucky and got a little more exposure, maybe he gets selected a little sooner. But we missed out on the Brown and Hardy combo at UK, and I was hoping for that. Like, oh man, I paid attention to recruiting just in hopes that we get to see that.
Absolutely. But always good to have Drew on. He's a great photographer. See him all over the place, traveling around. He's great. He's kind of the when I was doing the post game there on 680, he would man, this dog. Hi, Sammy. You just gonna hang out anyway. Drew just doing the post game and all that kind of stuff. He's a good guy. He's a good dude. He's a dad that's handling business. So definitely always good to have him on.
Yeah. So got twins coming. So we'll go. Which that we can't speak to that, but he's gonna go from 2 kids to 4 kids like that. So maybe that is gonna be daunting. But before we know it, those little guys will be toddling around just like you said. And like you mentioned, the coaching change. The first little couple of years will be rough. Those two will be following their big brother and big sister around, and all these fears will be in the rearview mirror before you know it. We got another guest too. We got, in addition to Drew, we got a first-time guest. We rescheduled from a couple weeks ago. Fellow BS3 Network host Courtney Harden is going to come up here. He was with Courtney Harden. So we'll talk all kind of sports with him. The draft, NBA Finals, NFL, whatever we get into with him. We'll talk about all that with Courtney. He'll be on here about 15 minutes or so. So looking forward to having this brother on here. And I'm glad it worked out for Courtney to hop on. So thanks again to Big Blue Drew. Like Drew said, he was kind of out of the loop on stuff. I finally listened to y'all spaces last night. I heard Van on there. And, I'm not a movie guy, so y'all was talking movies there at the beginning. So I'm just sitting there listening and learning all the stuff about movies that I didn't know about. I'm like, oh, okay.
It was a good spaces. We had 60 plus folks stopped by last night. A couple weeks ago, we had 80 folks drop by. So it's going pretty good. Jeff Pecoro's come on there, able to talk football with Van. Bringing in some guys there, get Van's things. But did you make it to the very end?
Yeah, because y'all talk football with Van, and then basketball at the end, and yeah.
And then we started talking about track, and that's right in Van's wheelhouse as well. With Abby Steiner doing her thing, with Sydney McLaughlin setting another record, another world record. Let's be clear, give her props. Basically, it's Kentucky's becoming that spot, man. And if they can get the indoor track facility set up, that bodes well. Van talked about that, the different types of tracks, and I'm not going to pretend to know anything about that. But my contention is, when have we ever seen Mitch Barnhart kind of scrimp on the facilities aspect of things? So if they're going to do it, I have a feeling it's going to be a top-notch facility like the Bell Complex, like John Kropp Stadium, like Kentucky Proud Park. It's going to be top-notch. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, man, this is a good time to be a Wildcat, competitive across the board in everything. Yeah. With the football team doing its thing, volleyball is going to reload. It's just exciting. It used to be when we first started this show, all we really had to talk about was men's basketball.
Yep.
And hoping that football would be good.
Yeah.
But now, with the track team doing its thing, extending the Kentucky calendar deep into June, almost July, and then boom, we're just a few weeks away from football practice starting. So it's good. I know we're going to talk about Kentucky football in more detail as we get closer to the season, but the schedule shakes out real well for the team. I'm not going to say 10 or 11 wins are bust, but it's there. It's absolutely there for Kentucky. The basketball team, I know, as you said, a lot of folks want to add one more piece, and why can't we do this? Well, you don't have to have a perfect roster to win a championship. Mm-hmm. We have seen imperfect rosters win. I contend that the 2012 team was a flawed roster.
Yeah.
You're only playing 6 guys is not ideal.
Right.
You look at the minute distribution of that team, and it was just 6 guys that played. Wiltshire had spot duty, but it's not like he was getting a whole lot of run. And of course, Eloy Vargas and Twani Beckham. Guys played. But I'm talking about the bulk of the minutes went to 6 dudes. That's not ideal. That's not what you want to have as far as depth and all that kind of stuff. So we have seen flawed teams win.
It took fatigue quite a while to kind of find his groove. You talked about several episodes how you was cussing him out throughout that championship season. So he wasn't your elite top flight point guard, but he had the keys to the offense that entire year.
Yeah, thanks to the North Carolina game that year, Little Mrs. Her first sports phrase was "Damn it, T." So she learned that one. She learned that one pretty quick. But you can have a team that's not that talented, but they can figure out how to play. And you look at right. You could the 2011 team. I mean, look at that roster. Nobody's spectacular, but a lot of really good players that figured out how to win, right? And so trying to talk to the young guys who have, we're in that chat with some of the other Kentucky podcaster guys, and it's like these guys that come of age, the John Wall team is their first memory.
Right.
Well, basketball was played a long time before that team. There's it gives you a little bit of perspective. And I don't want an old man, the cloud, but I'm just talking about recent champions. Look at Kansas this past year. their first that Obagi wasn't drafted to what, late in the first round. Like, it's nice to have elite talent, but it's not necessary. You look at North Carolina and Kansas. Neither one of those dudes lit up the draft boards.
And North Carolina played 5 dudes pretty much.
Right. Right. So, and then Duke, with all those people that got drafted, didn't get it done, much like we did in 2010, to be fair. So my point is, you can win without having a perfect roster. And you don't need to let this chase of perfect interrupt the good. As I've always talked about, and I think I said this last night, I say it all the time, constructing a roster is not what you see when you're playing Madden or whatever, NBA 2K. Dudes have to play with each other.
Yo.
And so I think with this year, with the team on the basketball side, it's Oscar's team. Right? Like it's Oscar's team.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not saying that some of the players that were in the transfer portal or whatnot, I don't know anything about recruiting. You and I are very clear about that. But if you've got somebody that's not willing to say, okay, this is Oscar's team, he's that tone setter.
Mm-hmm.
That's the de facto thing. Whatever we see in the Bahamas is going to start and end with Oscar, I think. So everybody's got a role, and if you bring in one more person, how does that work? Because we don't know what the coaching staff has already said to players, has already put in mind, right? Now, keep in mind, Cal doesn't promise, but I'm sure there's discussions to be had about how guys are going to be played, right? Like, I have to, like, I just don't feel like Cal's like, well, you come here, whatever happens, happens. I don't feel that is the case. So building a roster, it's not 1 + 1 = 2 all the time, right? Like we have seen teams that are probably less talented beat more talented teams because they get along well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's like the 2004 finals with the Pistons beating my Lakers. It was clear that Lakers team in 2004, it was a disaster in the locker room, an absolute disaster.
Yep.
And so, that's how you can lose with Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, is if everybody's doing their own thing, or it's not as harmonious as it needs to be. The team we don't think of being as talented will win. And the thing is, this Kentucky team for next year is talented. Mm-hmm. Like, there's dudes, people, what has Cal done? You got 2 top 5 recruits coming in. Yeah. You bringing back the unanimous player of the year. You've got the SEC leader in assists coming back. This is not a bad team.
Yeah.
This is not the 9-win team during 2020. This is not the 2013 team. This is not that team.
Yeah, and I guess there's a recency bias where 9-16 in St. Peter's is just people are letting that just drown out any optimism because we're only as good as our last game. I guess that's what people are thinking because.
And like I've said before, and I'll say this happens. It's not just Kentucky fans. It's prevalent in sports, but also in life in general. Whatever point of view it takes to be miserable, that's what people want to do. People don't want to buy into the football team because the football team wasn't good for 40 years, right? It's always, I remember they lost in 1998. Okay. They lost in 98. They lost in 72. What's that got to do with this team, right? And so with basketball, Kentucky basketball has been great to excellent or excellent to great the majority of my life. Mm-hmm. But we're going to cling to, St. Peter's, a 9-win season. And in 1994, they lost to Marquette in the second round. And in 1986, they lost it. Okay. Like, that's my whole thing with basketball is Kentucky basketball, you got to work hard to be miserable.
Right. Yeah. It's like the Lakers fans. It's been a lot of good.
It's the young Lakers fans. I'm telling the fans that came of age in the 20s where Kobe is their guy. They're the ones that don't have perspective. Fans like myself, close to 40, over 40, we get it. Like I've told you, like, look, when I talk about a great Lakers run, well, which one am I talking about? Am I talking about Magic and Kareem and those 5 titles? Am I talking about the 3-peat with Shaq and Kobe? Am I talking about the back-to-back with Kobe and Pau Gasol? I'm even counting the bubble championship because it's a championship. So, that's my whole thing. And I get it. I see all the NBA Twitter memes, Lakers fans list, Lakers fans that. And all I have to say is, again, if you're talking to a 44-year-old Laker fan or thereabouts, I've seen 11 championships. Like, and they were terrible from 2010 to 2020. Like, the worst record, one of the worst records in the NBA, and still messed around and won a title. So, yeah, Lakers fans, we kind of feel like, whatever happens, happens. I don't get caught up in, are they going to trade Russ? Are they going to – I don't know. I thought getting Kyrie Irving, I'm like, why not? Why not? Shoot.
Darvin Ham need that headache in his first year.
Yeah, but and for me though, with all that, it's LA. Like the Lakers front office, maybe not the shrewdest, but hey, you want to do your own thing, that's great. From Lamar Odom walking to the Staples Center to like this is like it's LA, man. Like, and I'm okay with it.
11 titles in 14 lead on y'all, and y'all just whittled it down in your lifetime. Now, 16, 18 now. We talked about that with Courtney Harden. Talk some NFL with Courtney. I'll show you a little promo video we do every week. All the podcasts that we're part of. You'll see the real deal with Courtney Harden on there, which is the sports portion of that. He's about to join us. Any topic you want to hit on, there's a podcast on the network, sports, culture, relationships, education, whatever you want to hit on. There's podcasts on those topics. Like I said, you see Courtney Harden right there with the real deal, right there in that little sports block with us. And we'll have him on here in just a second, so we'll be able to talk about that. You mentioned the track, and I just will go back to, because we talked about Abby Steiner and what Sidney McLaughlin was doing and how Van was dropping knowledge on the spaces last night. When Coach Florial left, friend of the show, we had him on as well before he went on down to Texas. But when Coach Florio left for Texas, I was like, oh, that was, to me, that seemed like a blow. Like, because he had got us up to these big heights, and I'm like, oh, is it going to be able to be sustained? And like Van said last night, and you talked about it, Coach Green has come in and he's maintained it. He's a Drake Relay Hall of Famer himself, and there hasn't been a drop off because I thought, losing Coach Florio is gonna really hurt. But Coach Green has just kept everything rolling.
Absolutely, and I think that's one thing we would get on AD Mitch Barnhart. He's brought really good coaches into these teams, and set the bar ridiculously high. And these coaches and these programs are reaching those high bars. So the track program, probably one of the more successful programs over the last, if you want to say the last decade or so, you can make that argument.
Yeah. The Directors' Cup standings, you always stay up on those, and they don't drop when basketball has a subpar season because, volleyball wins a title. Men's tennis makes a run to the Final Four. Track is keeping us going until July. All these other sports have just continued to elevate.
Absolutely. Back 2015, the men's team went 38-1, and the women's track team, finishing a runner-up, earned more points in the Directors' Cup. So hopefully, and I haven't seen as much lately, but you definitely want to say the days of it being just men's basketball, nothing else, those days are over.
Yeah. And you said a minute, a quarter of a century ago, because we date ourselves. But if you go back that amount of time, however short or long you think it is, young people think, well, that's a long time. But we would have never said that all these other programs, will continue to be on a level where we're not just talking about basketball again. We weren't thinking about that in 95, 96, 97. We weren't. Coach Skinner gets there at 05. They've made the tournament every year since then. And now they're to the point where they reload. You could see them climbing towards the title when they got it. They were getting deeper and deeper into the tournament, get the championship. Now they're in reload mode. So yeah, it's the point where all these other sports are in good position. They're on good footing to continue to stay. It's not like back in our day where nobody's even really paying attention to them.
Yeah, when you go back far and you look, and the program was in the 60s and 70s, and now we're a consistent top 15 program, which is pretty good, considering there's so many schools that have so many other teams that we don't have. That might even have bigger budgets than Kentucky have. That's outpacing Texas, right? That's competing with the Ohio States of the world, the Michigans of the world. So I'm excited to be a Kentucky fan because it's all cats, everything.
We just talked about our guest. He's backstage. We'll see him in just a second. Coming to us from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Eagles fan. Make mistakes. He hosts The Real Deal at Get The Real Deal on Twitter with Courtney Harden. We're talking about Courtney Harden coming on here right now. Courtney, man, glad to have you on here. Been wanting to have you on for a while. Appreciate you hopping on, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for the invite. I'm honored. Like you said, we've been trying to make this work for a while. Is there some static? I think there's some static. I'm not sure if it's on my end or your end.
Okay. Yeah, Yeah, I'm not sure. I got a little. That's just a little.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But I appreciate the invite again, man. Like I said, big fan of the show. Excited to be on, man. I really appreciate it.
And look, man, the way you crank out content is, first of all, it's hard to get you first. You know? That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Great guests all the time. Instagram, you're doing your thing on Facebook, you're on Roku, part of BS3 here with us. So getting you at a moment when you're free, it's cool to be able to have you, man, because you're grinding, man.
Thanks, man. I try to just get out as much content as I can. Reach out to the guests and just try to put it out, like whoever has a great story, or if they have something to promote or anything like that, I'd like to hear their story and all that. So it's always good to have good content. It's always good to have as much content as you can and get it out as much as you can. And I try to do it and not get burnt out. That's the main thing.
Well, tell everybody, our listeners, the idea when the real deal was just an idea, and you're like, maybe I should. Before you are where you are now and rolling, tell us where the process and how it all began for you and the pieces started to fall in place.
Yeah, definitely. I started the podcast around like 2014, 2015. And I was doing a lot of writing. This is before I got to BS3. So I was doing a lot of writing, blogging back then. And then I was on this with this website that I was writing a lot of sports content. And they decided to say, hey, you want to do a podcast? And I was like, yeah, I've never done anything podcast wise. So I said, well, why not? We debate when we were growing up. We debated sports, and everybody, who I grew up with, always said, "Oh, you should have did like radio or anything like that." But at that time, I didn't take it serious. I just kind of wanted to just hang out and just argue with my boys and everything and things like that. But I was always into sports, always into researching and debating and all that. And then, like I said, 2015, I got the podcast. At that time, it was called The Takeover. It wasn't even called The Real Deal. It was called The Takeover. And I had a co-host at that time, too. So we did that for a couple of years together. And then I went on my own and did my thing for a while until about 2018. And I was putting out a lot of content daily, almost every day. But then I got burnt out. I was like, yeah, this is a little too much. I was burnt out mentally and everything. So burnout is a real thing. So then I took a whole year off in 2018 until I got on BS3 Radio in 2019. Ben reached out and he said, you want to get back into it, and get on the network. He was just revamping it. So that's when I revamped The Real Deal in 2019. And then everything else has been going since then.
That's cool, man. Look, you mentioned being in BS3, the BS3 Awards coming up in August. Just try to let us win one, man. Let us win one, Courtney. Come on, man.
I'm a team player, so I'm a team player, man. So when you win, if someone else win, we all win. So that's how I see it as though. But yes, I'm trying not to win all these awards, but
in the house, man. But we first of all, look, Philadelphia. Let me go get that out the way.
I knew that was coming.
Let me go NFC out the way. Y'all went to the moon, and as a Cowboys fan, first of all, Jordan Davis out of Georgia.
Yes.
Saw that dude, clogging the middle and all that. And he can step right in and replace old Fletcher when he decided to call it a career.
Yeah.
The boy receiver, from the Titans?
AJ Brown. Yep.
If Jelly can give him the ball, that's a little nasty, duo there as well. So y'all trying to put place, and I'm not really happy about it.
Well, the Eagles are trying to they're putting everything in. They're setting Jalen Hurts. They're setting him up to succeed as much as they can. So they got all these pieces. They helped on the defensive end, getting you said Jordan Davis. They got Nakobe Dean, the linebacker as well. So they're trying to set up for at least this season, and then they got AJ Brown to come in for Devontae Smith. So yeah, they're trying to set up for to let's see if Jalen Hurts is the real deal. I'm a believer in him. I'm not gonna say he's a franchise guy, but he has all the weapons now, so there is really no excuse for him not to succeed. Now, if he doesn't succeed after this season, they'll probably go in a different direction. So, but they're putting everything in for him to succeed. So it's up to him now, and his work ethic is. We hear about that, and it's always it's way up there. His work ethic is tremendous, but now it's all about playing football, delivering the football, being a better quarterback. And now, like I say, you got the weapons, you got the offensive line, you got the running game, you got everything now. So it's just up to him to make that next step to become at least a serviceable franchise quarterback.
When you see y'all boy back in the division with the Commanders,
I don't know about Commander Wentz, man. I don't know about this. I mean, I was a huge Wentz fan, and I was when he was here. He had success. He did have a little bit of success. I mean, when they won the Super Bowl, he was 11-2. And that was his record, and he was rolling. He was close to MVP, and then he gets hurt, and then Nick Foles jumps in and gets on a hot streak, and then they win the Super Bowl. I think Wentz hasn't been the same since, and I think that's part of the issue. He's been seems like he's always looking over his shoulder. He saw that happen, so I think he started pressing, and now his leadership skills are questioned now, and there was always a reports of that too, and it's becoming true now because he soured in his last few years here in Philly, and then now with the Colts, there was issues there too. So this is his last chance with Washington, and if he doesn't make it here, he's probably going to be a backup, unfortunately.
How we paid journeyman backup.
Yeah, right. The Sam Bradford type kind of thing in a way.
TV man, Jeffy, and you got your phone situated, so man, hop in here, man.
Yeah, technical difficulties. Courtney, thank you so much for joining us on here. As a 49ers fan, I've got to give love to the Eagles because Vinny being a Cowboys fan, it was a tough pill to swallow when the Eagles won that Super Bowl, and
Yes.
he couldn't hold that little thing over Philadelphia fans anymore. Everybody's got a championship in that division, so from Philadelphia, we thank you. To keep it in Philadelphia, I did see today where James Harden is opting out of his player option and appears to be going to restructure to kind of right that ship. How are you kind of seeing what does Philadelphia need to do to get over that hump and at least get to the conference finals? Is Harden going to be a piece of that?
I think he is, because I don't think they can. I don't know what they can get for him because he's at in the point of his career. He's at the point where his value is low now because he struggled in the playoffs once again. And but I think they're gonna give him a more of a chance because he played 28 games, I believe, when they got him after All-Star break. And he hadn't had a full season to work with Joel Embiid. So I think he does resign. I think he's not gonna get a max deal because he's not I don't think he's working anymore. And we just saw his skills seem like they're declining more. He couldn't even get by players anymore. And it's just so it happened so fast. I know there's some things of him maybe being out of shape, injured, and all these things. So maybe a full season, off season in Philly would help him. But as of right now, he's not going to get a max deal. I think he'll get a 3-year deal, maybe 100 million, but he's not going to get that 240 million, which he's eligible to get. But I don't think the Sixers are not going to pay him that after the performance he did in the playoffs. So, but I think they're going to go with him and they gotta get some toughness. They gotta get some more depth on their bench. They need somebody like there's rumors of PJ Tucker coming here. I think that'll be a good move. So he'll definitely bring toughness, and he played with Harden in Houston, so I could see PJ Tucker helping out. But other than that, the East is so loaded. It's so loaded at the top, and Kyrie going back to Brooklyn. That whole thing that was a mess. But I mean, Brooklyn, they should be much better if they could stay healthy. And then all these other teams like the Bucks, the Bulls, so the Sixers, Boston, it's gonna be tough. Miami, it's gonna be tough for the Sixers, but they have the pieces to at least get maybe the semifinals to the conference finals again.
You mentioned, when you were on the podcast, grinding. Like, oh, I don't want to get burnt out. You did get burnt out. You had to take some time off.
Yeah.
We're talking NBA free agency right now. And Shams and Woj and Haynes and all those dudes right now are just breaking news. Maybe more now than during the regular season. I read a New York Post article a few weeks ago about how Shams said that 20 hours a day, screen time. As far as hobbies, maybe he kind of tried to shoot ball every now and then and go hoop. How does that dude not burning out? And to me, I'm like, look, man, you gotta get yourself a little more balance because this is crazy.
Yeah, you gotta have the balance. I mean, especially if you got families and you got wives and things like that. I'm sure there's some burnout for them, but I think they just continue just to push forward. And they like you said, it's 24/7, 365 with them, and even like Adam Schefter when he does the NFL, there's no they don't sleep, but you have to find a balance because you gotta have self-care. You gotta you have family, if you have kids, you have to do these friends that you hang out with and things like that. And I guess you got to prioritize it. So when I do the shows now, I kind of take weeks off sometimes. I will take, like this week I took a week off of just doing content, just coming on your show, and I was on another show yesterday. So because you need find that balance now, but we have our own schedule. When we're on BS3, we can just kind of, we have our shows on our specific days, but if we do something after that, that's what's just content you want to do. So yeah, I definitely take days off because I don't want to go through that burnout again. But I don't know how they do it. I'm sure there's some burnout there, but props to them for like you said, to work 20 out of the 24-hour days, and that's a lot of content.
Because we're all married. And if you were a single dude, I mean, you want to go hoop whenever you feel like it. You can't even. He said he don't even go hoop. That's his hobby is every now and then kind of sort of hooping. So that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he doesn't do it. Like, you got to find time. I mean, you got to eat. You got to, you got to spend time with your wives. You have to do those things. If not, like you said, maybe if you're single, it works out, but not married, you can't. That's tough.
Man, tell us about, you got a wide array of guests on The Real Deal. Yourself like us, you could be a female guest on. Just tell us about some of the greatest guests you've had, some of some bucket list moments. I got to talk to such and such on my podcast. Stuff like that.
Man, I've had, and every year, what I do, like every new year, I try to shout out all the ones I've had on the show so I can remember. So I'll go back and I'll spend some time to at least individually shout out all the people I've actually had on the show. And I've had some guests on multiple times. I got to get you guys on the show too. So let's make sure, because got to get you guys on the show. But I think some of my favorite, there's so many, like quite a few years ago, I had Freddie Coleman from ESPN. I had him on. He was on, and he was a great guest. And that was years ago. So I had him on. I've had oh my goodness, there's so many. I've had the hockey lady, as she calls herself, Ray. I had her on. She does a lot of hockey. I'm trying to go through the list. Jenna Limacelli from the New York Post. I just recently had her on last weekend. That was really good. Nathan Ramachandra for the NR Hour Sports Show. I've had my best friend James Jeter. He's been on. Damian Adams with The Real Deal with Damian Adams. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So I don't want to miss out on anybody. So I'm going to leave it at that. So, but yeah, it's a variety of guests. It's like I said, I've had a lot of female like sports reporters and things like that. I've had chefs on the show before. It's been quite a journey, and I'm just thankful that they're able to jump on. I had Serena Morales on the show. She's former ESPN anchor. So it's a lot, and I, like I said, I'm always honored to have a lot of these guests on, and there's more I want to definitely get on the show.
Yeah. That makes it fun though. The core of sports. We've had photographers on, and
authors, yep.
People, different stuff that maybe people would think, oh, that's not really in their wheelhouse, but we had them on anyway, and it's always been fun talking to them and learning about them, and they drop knowledge and back and forth. There's a lot of good stuff. Us being Kentucky guys, gotta go back to your sections. The young fella, Tyrese Maxey, up there, impressive. What are the locals thinking about him? Everybody, in his 2 years in Philly, how's everybody feeling about Tyrese?
They love him. they love him. He was actually their second best player in the playoffs, actually behind Joel Embiid. Him and Tobias Harris, and that's with James Harden on the roster on the floor. So Tyrese Maxey has definitely improved over from his first year to his second year, and now he learned how to play with James Harden over that little bit of a time frame, and he can play off the ball. He can play with the ball. He's so quick, so athletic, and he's improved as a shooter. And then he'll just keep getting better and better and better. So I have a feeling like that he's gonna be here for the long haul. And if anything, if James Harden doesn't pan out, at least they do have Maxey. And because they didn't even want to trade him, I know he was supposed to be part of the deal to get James Harden. The Sixers were like, no, we see the improvement here. We're not gonna get rid of him. And Doc Rivers loves him, and he was playing a lot of good minutes in the playoffs. So I think he's going to continue to improve. And and I think the only thing he's got to really work on is his jump shot, really, and just get more consistent with that. And sky's the limit for him. I think he's definitely he's a player.
The thing I liked about Maxey when he was at Kentucky, and even I guess 2 playoffs ago with the Ben Simmons meltdown, is Maxey's not scared of them. I know that's the catchphrase, but when the lights are bright, he's gonna. If he makes a mistake, it's gonna be because he's trying to do something. It's not because he's gonna be too scared to do anything. So I know that plays well for the locals in Philadelphia because it played well here in Kentucky that season. He was playing well with us.
Yeah. That's big. I think with that's the one good thing that he has is, like you said, he doesn't give up. He plays hard, and Philadelphia fans, that's all they want is you to play hard, and don't go out there and try to lollygag and all these things. Just go and play. And I think Maxey, he continues to improve. He became a fan favorite, and that's why Ben Simmons, the lack of his being lazy and not wanting to put in the work. Maxey is the opposite. He puts in the work and he shows a lot of toughness. And like you said, if anything happens that he does anything negative, it's because maybe he's trying to do a little too much. But fans love that, though. They love that as long as he's out there playing hard, and that's what Maxey does. So yeah, he's a player.
I had to say that I stood corrected because I'm a Rockets fan, and so when saw that Harden was moving, from Brooklyn to Philly, that was my first thought. I'm like, oh man, this is gonna stunt Maxey's growth. It's gonna kind of set him back.
I did too.
It's gonna be an impediment to his development, and it was anything but. I said, wow, I was completely wrong on that. Dude flourished. He didn't. It wasn't even. It was like it was no thing to him. And like you mentioned, in the playoffs, he was really shining. Next to Embiid, he did his thing. So I was completely off base when that move happened.
I did too. I thought when they got Harden, that's like, okay, that will stunt Maxi's growth. I didn't know how they were going to be able to play together or anything like that. But you said, I think him and Harden, they got a good connection too. So I think that does help him. Harden can be an unselfish player when things are rolling. You know, it's not like he goes out. He can go out there and really, you know, shoot the ball a lot and things like that. But he will pass the ball. He has averaged over double digits in assists before. So he can definitely step back and play off the ball or play with the like Harden could be the point guard and Max could be the two guard, or they can just they can bounce off of each other and then like I said, Joel Embiid in the middle. The Sixers definitely should be better. So I think the Sixers will be better as long as Harden can get some of that what he had in Houston, at least a little bit of it. They say he's not the Houston player anymore, but he could be something that he was in Brooklyn for that short period of time and get a little bit of that. And the Sixers they'll be much better if they get that.
We didn't have a show last Wednesday, so as we talked about at the beginning, some things happened since we were on. TV, being a Lakers fan, Boston got denied another chance to win a title. So we hadn't talked about the finals yet, so we just want to get everyone's on, especially with you over here with us. Golden State closing out in 6, which you and I both said. We were in 6 before I was talking. So everybody's thoughts on what we saw with the NBA finals.
Man, the Warriors, man. I predicted the Warriors in 6. I did that on the show. I had the Warriors winning because I always do a preview show before I do a NBA preview in the beginning of the year. So my finals prediction was Bucks Warriors. So and I got the Warriors. I had the Warriors beating the Bucks in the finals, and the Bucks almost got there, but Chris Middleton being out, it was hard, and they still almost beat Boston. But I mean, the Warriors coming back from all those injuries, Clay, Steph, and Draymond, the core was there. Curry just went to another level, winning the Finals MVP, and it just he actually just he took him on his back this time, and it's funny because a lot of people say, well, he needs a Finals MVP to cement his legacy. His legacy was already cemented. This is just an added thing. I mean, I got the chatter and all that. It's like this guy's already was a 2-time MVP and unanimous MVP. He was a 3-time champ before this and all the accolades. So we know how great Steph Curry is. I'm glad he won the MVP because now he said, what can they say now? They can't say anything anymore. He's like, this is just an added bonus to it. So the Warriors was just a little too much. The experience, Steve Kerr, and the experience. Andrew Wiggins stepped up big time, and Jordan Poole, and they're going to be scary next year. I think they actually might be better next year if they can, because they got some of the young players coming up, Kuminga and James Wiseman, who hasn't even played much at all. And like I said, Curry's still playing, and Clay's going to be a year removed from the injury, so he's going to be much better. So the Warriors are scary. I think Boston had a great year as well. On the other side, like I said, the Warriors were just a little too much experience, but that's a learning thing for Boston. They could get back there again in the finals too. They're a young team. They have like the blueprint, kind of like the Warriors did. They draft well, and they have their homegrown players from the draft, and they don't swing for the fences for big time free agents. So yeah, the Celtics had a good year. Luka in his first year as a coach led them to this final. So I thought it was a great finals. So, but the Warriors were just the Warriors. They experience it's I think that was won it for them.
What you guys see?
Oh, anytime Boston loses, that makes me happy. Let me just put that out there. Boston, as a Lakers fan, Boston losing makes me happy.
Yeah.
But for me, to Courtney said, Steph and LeBron, those guys, KD, they are already on that all-time great level. So it's like, what is one more championship going to do, right?
Right.
Like, that's how I get tired of the LeBron MJ debate. Like, if LeBron were to win one more champion, like, what does that essentially change? That it doesn't change anything. I always thought basketball was like the one sport you don't even need numbers. Like, you can see that dude's cold, right? Like, I don't need the numbers, to tell me Kevin Durant is one of the coldest to ever do it. Now, you can get into the weeds if you want to start ranking them 1 through 15. To me, that's impossible. Because if you've got your top 10, okay, and you want to move Steph up there, well, somebody's got to come out. And then can you really move someone out? So just look, here's our top 20. These are the dudes that are coldest to ever do it, right? Like, that's why I don't like about the NBA debates, because, well, this guy's got one more championships. Well, then Bill Russell wins that. Or, there's all these things. So to me, it's just like, Steph's just that dude. He had his championship moment where he's like, to quote Bomani Jones, come on, boys, I got you. This is a game. What, y'all need 45? I got it. That to me is the beauty of the NBA versus like the NFL or Major League Baseball, where one dude can just wake up and say, "Oh, we got this. We're not losing." And Steph gave us a couple of those games, so I'm happy about that. But next year, looking forward, I hope Boston falters, because, like we said, the East is going to be tough. Philly is going to get better. You imagine Milwaukee is going to be healthy, hopefully again. The Nets figure something out. The Heat also will be healthier. So it's going to be very top heavy in the East for Boston to repeat. But I do like Udoka, because that man's been winning for a long time. If he got Nia Long cheering him on.
yes. Nia Long with that cherry. Yes. yes.
But Steph is that dude. Just say Steph is that dude. He's one of those rarefied folks that he changed the game and how we approach the basketball. And that is a very short list of people that changed the way we actually play basketball. And Steph, he did that. He made the 3-point shot and all that what is. So, hey, hats off to Steph, but I don't want to rank, because you start ranking people, it's like, I can't do that.
Right, he's an all-time great, as you said. There's no debate. There should be no debate. And like I said, he just basically added to his legacy that it was already being written, and he just added another trophy. Now the Finals MVP, another championship. This is his fourth one. So as you said, I read an article like he's another guy, as you said, that changed the game, but his greatness. It's a different type of greatness. Like, we have guys like Jordan, LeBron, Shaq, the dominance. Steph is just a different breed of greatness. It's all the same. They're all ranked in that top. You said top 15, top 20. No matter how you rank them, Kevin Durant, he's great, and Kareem. I mean, he's one of my favorite all-time players. And I do a list. I sometimes do a list just when we try to have a list. But then I'm like, okay, if Curry is in the top 10, you said, who does he remove somebody like Hakeem Olajuwon? Does he remove someone if you have him in your top 10? Does he remove somebody like Larry Bird? Like, those are like that's hard to do. And I can't. It's hard for me to remove guys off my list like Magic and Bird and and LeBron and Kobe, and Steph is up there. He's way up there on the list. That's what I would say. And if somebody have him ranked fifth, I'm not going to argue with that. If they have him ranked 10th, I'm not going to argue with that. He's like I say, he's an all-time great. It's just a different. He's just a different dominance, and he just proved it again.
And with me, once you're ranking NBA players, it's like ranking Prince songs. You can give me your top 10. My top 10 is completely different, and everybody's right. Like, you remember video like we said when Prince died. Like, you can have your top list, I have my top list. No songs are the same, but we're both right, because it's all about how you want to look at something. So, yeah.
It's the flavor that you like. Like you said, you might like When Doves Cry, and then somebody like Party Like It's 1999. Like, they're both great songs. Like, I might like one more than the other, But I'm not saying it's like what they said with Michael Jackson. It's like thousands of songs. It's hard to rank. You might have your favorite Michael Jackson song. You might have your favorite, if you like Jay-Z, you might have your favorite Jay-Z song. It's like they're all-time greats. Like that's their body of work speaks for itself. So I might, like I said, you were talking about my favorite guest. It's hard to, like, I can't forget, like, I had Mary Fader on the show. I mean, she wrote the Giannis Antetokounmpo book. I had her on the show. She's on the show 3 or 4 times, so I become a good friend of hers. We became good friends on social media and stuff. So when I need somebody to talk about something, I can just jump right in. Like, she's one of my favorite guests, but I like somebody else too. But it's not like she's like better than this guest. It's not even like that. So it's hard to. He said it's hard to rank it.
If we're being real honest, we were all right picking the Warriors in 6. We proved we were correct going on the record and saying that. But it probably should have been in 5 because Boston rallied and stole game 1 when
yes.
saw that coming. Warriors really probably should have got them in 5.
Yeah, they should have. You're right. And they stole game 1. And Boston was up 2-1 in the series, and then that's when Curry went. He did his thing and scored 43, dropped all 43 on him, and then Boston probably could have won. They could have won game 5 because Curry that was the one bad game he had, and they still lost. That's how good the Warriors were. And I knew once the Warriors got up 3-2, I was like, oh, Curry's not gonna he's not gonna not make a 3-pointer again. He's gonna come out and they're gonna close him in 6 and. That's what they did. So yeah.
Game 6 when Boston comes out and you gotta come out guns blazing, your hair on fire because our season's on the line. Gotta throw all our punches, and they unleashed all that fury. And at the end of it, Golden State is only down 22-18. So
yes,
the storm has been weathered, and they only down 4. It's over.
It's over.
It turned into a blowout.
It was a blowout.
It was over when Curry did like this. It was over.
Yeah,
because
it
was.
Yep.
It was like when MJ did the shrug. Like we still got a whole half of basketball to play, and I'm like, this game is over. That's it. You're not coming back from that.
No, Curry's cold-blooded. He does that night now, and now you got players doing that. Sky Diggins in WNBA, she's doing it, and all these players. Curry done started something, man. He's a bad boy, man. I love Steph Curry, man.
I gotta switch it up right quick before we let you go, Courtney, man, because you're in Philly. That's a city I've yet to get to yet. Still been in your city, but all the touristy stuff always says Geno's and Pat. Do all of that cheesesteak stuff, and the real places that go get the cheesesteak stuff. That's the real places that the local go. The tourist stuff go when you don't know what you're doing. Oh, let's go. Let's hurt them. Where do y'all go?
Oh man, the funny thing is, I'm not a Geno's or Pat's fan at all. So, and I know that's like I said, that's the one people go. I like Tony Luke's. That's another one. So. There's a few of them. That's in South Philly, but that's one of my favorites. Larry's Cheesesteaks, since I moved from South Philly to West Philly, they're really good. And that was one of Kobe Bryant's favorites cheesesteak places. So I tried that. That's really good. There's quite a few. There's one called Ishkabibble's. There's one I haven't tried yet, but it's always in the top list. D'Alejandro's is called, so I got to definitely try that. That's going to be something I try in the summer. But yeah, there's a lot of good cheesesteak places besides Geno's and Pat's. Definitely. So I wouldn't recommend Geno's and Pat's, but if somebody wanted to say I just want to get a cheesesteak, those are some of my favorite cheesesteak places.
Yeah, see, as an outsider, that's all that's like the stuff for tourists. Every place has got the stuff where if you're touring, you're out of town, you go, but the locals know about this place.
Yep.
This place. So, as an outsider, I know you watch the Eagles game, they'll show them making cheesesteaks when they come back from commercial. It'll be Geno's or Pat's.
Yep.
That's all that you know. And that's going back, John Cowboys. Geno's and
yeah. Yeah. And those are, like I said, that's the locals and everything too. I mean, sometimes you could go to a spot that sells just good cheesesteaks. Like there would be one. It was called Oregon Steaks. They were pretty good. They were just a place on the corner, like a corner store type, and they were good. As long as, like I said, as long as they salted it with salt and pepper on the cheesesteaks, and you get your cheese, what type of cheese you like. You can. Some people love cheese whiz. I'm not a fan of cheese whiz, but I like American cheese, onions, a little bit of fried onions, and so maybe a little bit of peppers, and just get that cheese on it. I'm good to go.
Man, good stuff, man. Good stuff. You know, so much fun. You know, everybody, you got a Twitter right there. We got a personal Twitter scrolling across the ticket at Courtney Harden, the real deal. Tell everybody every Saturday you do shows, and then tell everybody when you crank out content.
Yep. Yes. And they said, I thank you guys, man. I appreciate this. This was a lot of fun, man. Yeah, you can find the show. Follow it at Get the Real Deal on Twitter. Saturdays, it's on Roku. It's on Spreaker, Facebook Live, Via Street Radio. It's Spotify. It's on all social media. It's on all podcast platforms as well. If you Google The Real Deal with Courtney Harden, all the content's there. But Saturdays at usually like noon or 12:30 each and every Saturday, and then I drop shows on Zoom almost every other day. So kind of like 2 or 3 times a week. So you can just find all that content. You can just follow me on all social media platforms and get all the content there as well.
Here Saturday.
Definitely. Thank you. I thank both guys, man. And like I said, I'm gonna get you both on the show, man. Gotta do some NFL. So we gotta definitely when the season starts in 2 months. So looking forward to I'll definitely get you guys on the show.
Just a heads up, Courtney, Vinny is a Cowboys fan. So
yes,
he doesn't quite remember, but he doesn't quite remember how the Super Bowl works. So with your Eagles having won it and my 49ers playing in it, we'll have to bring him up to speed.
Bring him up to speed from the 90s. Yes.
Right. When you're in the playoffs, there's a Super Bowl at the end of the season. So we'll do that when we come on.
Yes.
I get y'all's love. I'll sign up for y'all's class when we come on the show.
Yes, we're doing master class. Yes,
that's right. We got you, man.
Yeah, we got you. All right. Thanks a lot, y'all. That was
all right, Courtney. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.
You too.
Courtney Harden, Get the Real Deal, and on Twitter at Courtney979. One thing too, man, go to the spaces, and we don't talk a lot of recruiting, but y'all talked about it in the spaces. A couple running backs joining the football roster. We had this Ramon Jefferson kid from Sam Houston State, and then the big dude from Tennessee, something or another. I have to look his name up, but 6'5", 230, and everybody's pretty certain that he's not going to come in and play running back. I'm saying, hey, put him back there and give him a look. Let him be Eddie George. Let's see what we got for him. Give him a couple carries.
I have a feeling he's going to be that hybrid H-back with Coach Scanello coming from the 49ers. And you know how we've used Kittle and we've used Kyle Juszczyk kind of putting the ball wherever. That's the thing I think we'll see him at because the running back room is it's full, and Van expounded on this. Van Howes did last night that it may be too full, and there's that balance when you're adding Ross. Like it's good, I guess, to keep adding dudes, but at some point there's not going to be enough carries. Because you have a feeling for the running backs, uh, Chris Rodriguez, hopefully whatever that cloud is gets settled, but
Right.
he's going to be your main dude.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a lot of capable kind of backups. And on top of that, I don't think that the offense is going to be as run heavy as we've seen it. If Will Levis is as good as advertised, and most people smarter than you and I kind of think he is, uh, we may be more of a pass first offense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think that the carries will be there for all the mouths to be fed in the running back room. That's just looking on paper and that kind of stuff. Now, things change, obviously, injuries or what have you. But you have to think going into the season, there's going to be that spreading around, passing that ball.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to be running 60 times a game like Kentucky has been to get to this point. It's not going to be the Lynn Bowden wing T offense like we had a few years ago. Uh, so I just don't know if the carries are going to be there. But it's always good to add some talent. That's obviously not a bad thing. Where Kentucky's becoming a destination point in the transfer portal, in the recruiting circles. Again, I know we're going to get more detailed as we get close to the season because you and I know somebody's going to pick South Carolina to finish better than Kentucky because that always happens. It always happens with Tennessee, and even though I think their recruiting rankings for the Gamecocks and they got Spencer Rattler, so we're going to hear about that and whatever's going down in your neck of the woods in Tennessee. Uh, but Kentucky just wins, and it's entirely feasible for the Georgia game, the last game of the year, last SEC game before the Louisville game. That could be the de facto SEC East championship. You and I, like I said, we'll go through game by game on that, but I'm looking forward to the football season. We're going to try to make it back to Kentucky for a football game, hopefully early in the season. Get back and do a little tailgating so the missus can see the beautiful Central Kentucky landscape as we go into Lexington. We're also going to go to Iowa and watch do the wave to the kids at the Children's Hospital. So there's some things I want to check off.
These and just like I was happy to see Zach Yinzer and Rich Scangarello leave before Kentucky. Deep Beckwood did not get a lot of carries at Tennessee, but it still leads Tennessee to come to Kentucky. Whatever last year he used he's nowhere. Doing his things, that hideous team in orange. He is here, already enrolled in campus and is a member of the Cats. Welcome to the Bears. Your name on it now. And I was, you mentioned too, the fact that they probably aren't going to ask for this year. I don't know, 40, 45. I don't know what the ratio will be or what they're trying to get. But I was almost with Dick Gabriel, because I taped it with him yesterday. It's probably playing right now over on MVP out of Lexington. But I think the game is going to slow down for Will Levis this year. Last year was his first full year starting. He came in late in the spring, fall, the whole nine. He still had a solid season. 25 touchdowns. I think he'll cut down on some of the interceptions he threw last year. He had 13 picks. I think that'll go down. And he'll just see the field better. That was his first year starting, and he gets thrown into the SEC. Here you go. You're starting. And your coordinator, you haven't had any spring ball. Learn offense, go lead the team. And he did. They went 10-3. So now you get a whole spring with Scangarello. Offense is similar, not a lot of changes. I think it'll slow down. All the stuff that maybe was a blur to him last year, it'll kind of be nice and nice and smooth. You hear people talk, you hear athletes say it. The game is slowed down. When you get in that zone, everything you see 2 or 3 things ahead. So I think we'll let experience that a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. Again, we're doing a little bit of our football preview early, but with Will being comfortable with the terminology and the kind of mindset for the offense being the same, I have a feeling we're setting up ourselves for a special season. Like Courtney said, with the Eagles, giving Jalen Hurts all the tools he needs to succeed. I believe that Kentucky's done that for Will Levis. Uh, your Cowboys are still going to be okay. The Cowboys got a pretty stadium. I'm gonna say that about them. It's a beautiful stadium. I,
Still respectful on the star when I toured that stadium. It was a wonderful stadium, AT&T Stadium. It's way better than that Levi Stadium in St. Clair.
I really what was the? I'm just trying to think. The last game I saw in Cowboy Stadium, I saw it on TV. I can't remember the last game I saw.
Oh, there it is. There's the shot.
I can't even remember what the last game I saw, but it was beautiful. Saw it on TV. It was a beautiful game. It's a beautiful stadium. Beautiful stadium.
Yeah. To y'all's credit, there was too much rain there. Y'all kind of took over and hoped first home game for us.
Yeah, the Niner faithful have been traveling a whole lot better lately. I know that was kind of a knock for a while that the Niners were good. I'm talking about 80s, 90s, but they didn't travel quite like your Cowboys, quite like the dreaded Packers and the Steelers and all that kind of stuff. But it's better. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, this kind of works out. I'm trying to go to the Chicago 49ers game, first game of the year at Soldier Field.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping to do that. I'm going to have to break down and get a new 49ers jersey.
Oh yeah, I got to gear up too because you mentioned the dreaded you mentioned dreaded Packers. I'm probably going to the Cowboys Packers, so I get to see Lambeau and all that ugly green and yellow. So I'm gonna try to do that. It's November. It'll probably still be cold. You've been in Iowa in November. Is it already like frigid?
Oh yeah. I got married in October. That wind was already kicking up. So there you go.
So
there you go.
A big Cowboys jacket and all that stuff. I'm trying to pop up there and see the Cowboys in Lambeau in November. So we got a fun fall coming, man. You got the Kinnick Stadium tradition. You got the Niners coming to Soldier Field. That way they come play the Bears.
Yeah, going to play the Bears at Soldier Field.
We got a fun fall coming up, man.
Yeah, it depends. The missus is kind of burnt out on the Cubs because I said, the Cubs are playing that weekend. She's like, that's fine. So
she threw in the towel already.
Yeah, man. Once the way we talked about before, it's not just that the fans got greedy after the one championship, but the ownership just stopped trying.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get rid of all your players, you're not trying to win. It's tough. But we'll see. We may sneak over there to Wrigley Field. But yeah, looking forward to that in the fall. Looking forward to getting back to Lexington for a football game, hopefully for a basketball game as well, because it's been before COVID since I've been to Rupp. So I definitely would like to go and go as a fan where I'm able to cheer, because I can't even think the last time I went to a game at Rupp as a quote unquote regular person. It's been a while. Because usually when I go, I'm putting in some work.
Right.
We're getting together to move, which is 2 weeks from yesterday. That's getting close, and I just going through because I save all my credentials. I'm like, well, I have done a tremendous amount of stuff. So I've been very fortunate and blessed to do a lot of Kentucky activities, and but I would like to go back just as a fan, like to take her show her how a real basketball tradition is supposed to be handled.
That's right. So get her introduction to refereeing. This show was a whole lot of fun TV, as always. And had Cuz, Big Blue Drew up in here.
Yeah.
And Courtney Harden. And we talked track. And we talked about food. And we talked all kind of stuff. Talked about the stuff we got planned in the fall. And that's another fun show, man. Hope everybody enjoys it when we put this thing out.
Yeah, always fun to do that. And as Courtney was saying, it's all about the guests, man. And, when I look back at what we have done over this 9 years, it's been about the guests. It's been about the people that have taken time to help us out and the people that listen. So I certainly appreciate that.
Absolutely. A lot of fun this evening. We'll do it again next week.